Yes, it's taken almost, I think almost 100 episodes. This is 97 or 98, depending on which order these show up in. But in any case, almost 100 episodes. And I finally got to talk about Slayer. Now, you maybe don't know because I haven't talked about that before, but Slayer is one of my, I don't have official rankings of bands, unlike my Kiss album rankings, which are official. My band rankings are not official, although I always consider my personal four favorites. I don't know why we say four, but Kiss, Metallica, Iron Maiden, Motorhead. I would say Slayer is going to come in probably number 5 on my list of my favorite bands ever. Yet it's taken me this long to talk about Slayer. And yes, you best believe, as some people say, I will be talking about more Slayer. Fucking Slayer, that's what you should call them. I've had some Slayer albums for months now, but I just haven't got around to talking about them. But I did get Show No Mercy very recently, and this is the one that spurred me on to motivate me, to inspire me to talk about Slayer. I guess, and I don't really care about the order of them, but this was the first one that I got. I have a long history with Slayer, going back to, I guess, to 1984, maybe spring or summer of 1984. I'm not sure exactly of the timeline. But I first heard Slayer in 83, 84. I was listening to like these metal, Friday night, Saturday night metal radio shows and taping them and logging them and everything. And I heard, that was how I first discovered Metallica. I think Raven, All For One, around that same time. Exciter, maybe it was a little bit later along with Slayer. Maybe this was in 84. I think this record came out in late 83. So it must have been 84 when I first heard Slayer. Although there is a song on this album that makes me think I knew them by June 84. Maybe I'll talk about that when I get to that song. It's The Final Command. It's the second last song, I think. But Slayer, and this is not my favorite Slayer album. I would say it's definitely not number 1. It's probably 2 or 3, but it was the very first one I heard. And so obviously it has an impact on you. And it, retrospectively, it's not that great sounding. At the time I loved it, but I think of all the big four, Metallica, Slayer, Anthrax, and Megadeth, their first albums, none of them sounded that good from, what they would later go on to sound like. Metallica was probably the closest with Kill 'Em All, but Fistful of Metal didn't sound that good. Spreading the Disease was way better. Killing Is My Business, not that good. Peace Sells way better. Kill 'Em All, as I said, was pretty good, but Ride the Lightning I think was even better. Even Exodus, not in the big four, but Bonded by Blood was a great album, but it didn't sound like, like Exodus would later sound. And Slayer fits in that category too. So I think their albums that came after this sounded much better, but this was the one that really hit me. And I didn't really know at the time, at this time when I heard Show No Mercy, Slayer, 1984, I'd been in Iron Maiden for a couple of years, but I guess, because I was 14, I was too stupid to know how much they really sounded like Iron Maiden. And now retroactively, I'm 54. My birthday is tomorrow, by the way. I'll be 54 tomorrow. And maybe I'm still stupid, but I am smart enough, at least I know enough about music to know that there's a lot of Iron Maiden influence on this album, which I didn't know in 1984 when I was a dumb 14-year-old teenager. That I've gained that knowledge and wisdom since then. But this is a real huge, massive, I talked about this with some other ones, big album for me, along with Kill 'Em All and Raven, All For One, a little bit, Exciter, Violence and Force, Fistful of Metal, Killing Is My Business, very Fistful of Metal, Killing Is My Business, I guess was the next year. Very formative for my thrash metal years. I was already moving on from AC/DC, Black Sabbath, Kiss, Iron Maiden to Slayer, Metallica, Anthrax, Exciter, Raven, a little bit heavier, maybe a lot heavier. So I think this album, and you could talk about this with Venom too, or Kiss, Hotter Than Hell, or the first album. They're not the best sounding. You kind of think maybe it's kind of a trap. You think, I wish they could have written these same songs, but with the sound or the production of their later records. But I mean, there's no point wasting too much time thinking about that because it's not going to happen. But I love every song on this record. It's definitely not my number 1, but it could be my number 2. There's another one that this Show No Mercy and another one are 2 and 3 kind of interchangeably. But oh my God, this record was part of a big group of records that really, it didn't change my life, but it definitely changed how I listen to music. Yeah, and that's still the music that I listen to today. Yeah, so there's my introduction to Slayer, and I didn't see this tour, but they did play in Toronto on this tour, and I remember that was in it was around this time, October, November 1984, that Slayer played at Larry's Hideaway in Toronto, and I already knew Slayer and would have loved to have gone and wanted to go to the show at that time, but I was 14, I guess turning 15 at that time, and I was too young. You had to be 19 to get into Larry's Hideaway, which I did get in a year later to see Razor and Sacrifice when I was 15. I got snuck in by Mike from Razor, and but I did know about Slayer when they played in Toronto. I saw them a few months later in early '85, which I'll maybe give more detail on when I talk about Hell Awaits, which spoiler alert, I will be talking about Hell Awaits and some other Slayer records too. So that's it. I'll go through this track by track now. Now, I hadn't listened to this album in full. It's kind of strange for how much I love it. I hadn't listened to it in full for years and years. I listened to a few songs here and there, The Antichrist and Black Magic and I don't know, whatever, but there were some songs on this album that I hadn't listened to for years. I listened to it yesterday and again today, and man, this really, really, really brings back great memories for me of listening to Show No Mercy, along with my friend Jeff Simpson's, which we'll get into a little bit more when I talk about the Final Command, which is the second or third last song, as I mentioned earlier. So I haven't had the record of this since I got rid of all my records in the late 90s or early 2000s, whatever that was. So I'm very happy to have this in my midst again. And as you can see, the hype sticker, this is, it has what they call a flesh pink / orange marbled vinyl. It says original artwork with lyric / photo insert and large poster. I don't remember a poster in the original version, but this one has it. I'm gonna put it on my wall like I'm 14 again. This was on Metal Blade Records. Now, one thing I do remember about this, in Canada in 1984, this was on Bonsai Record, which had this side and that side. I'm sure this doesn't have that. Kill 'Em All had that. I think even Ride the Lightning had that. I think Fistful of Metal had that. They were all on Bonsai, the Bonsai label through Megaforce in Canada, or this was Metal Blade. So I don't know, I'll see what this is right the fuck now, because I'm going to open it up and see. All right. Whoops. All right. Oh, I cut the jacket a little bit. Oh no, it's not the jacket. It's the. Did I cut the jacket a little bit? I did. Look at me. Ha. I cut the jacket a little bit there. All right. So let me open this. And it does feel, it's not a gatefold, but it does feel a little bit thicker, I guess, because of that poster that the hype sticker promises. Oh, it's very matte. It's very, it's got some texture to it, this record. Damn it, look at that slice I made. They shouldn't seal these things up so tightly like Frank Rizzo says. All right, so let's see. All right, this is the original insert. I do remember this. And it's got the lyrics, as I'm looking at, on the other side. And this is good packaging. This is like a nice, sturdy, it's not quite cardboard, but it's got some good weight to it. And let's see, what else we got in here? I don't see a poster. Where's the poster? Am I missing something? Ah, here it is. It's buried a little bit. All right, let me see the poster. This definitely was not in the original version. It seems that it's a double-sided poster. This is cool, man. Look at this. That is cool. And this side is, It seems that maybe this is one of four, that if you put them all together, it's going to form like a a big puzzle. This is like the Slayer logo here. It looks like it's one of four. Maybe I'll get to that when I do these other Slayer records. So look at that. That's very cool. And so cheesy too. You know, these when you're 14 years old and these records came out, you thought, oh my God, this is high art. This is really good. This and Fistful of Metal and, you know, those other ones I talk about. When you look at it now, you kind of go, it's maybe not the best, but it's got some charm to it. I'll put this back. Damn it, look at that cut I made in the sleeve. And here's the actual record. Even this is a nice little touch that they, instead of just having a generic black dust cover, I can never remember what these things are called. They put the Metal Blade Records logo on this. So that's pretty cool. And here's the colored vinyl. All right, so this, what did they call this? Flesh pink and what did they call it? I can't remember. Flesh pink and orange marble, something like that. There it is. Cool, I guess. It's nice. You associate orange and creamsicle color with Slayer, of course. Very cool. All right. So I'll put this back and I'll talk about the record. I know this record cold. My God, I'm going to be probably going through a lot of lyrics here. This is, it's Evil Has No Boundaries, The Antichrist, Die by the Sword, Fight Till Death, Metal Storm / Face the Slayer. Side 2 is Black Magic. What's the second song on side 2? Going backwards from the last song is Show No Mercy, Cryonics, Vinyl Command. What song am I missing? Oh, Tormentor is the second track on side 2. Aren't you impressed that I know that? So the first track, as I said, is Evil Has No Boundaries. Maybe, I think it's the only Slayer song with backing vocals. No, those kind of gang, you know, Evil, and I think Gene Hoglan, I know he's one of them. I don't know if he's credited on here as one of the backup singers. Blasting our way through the boundaries of hell. No one can stop us tonight. We take on the world with hatred inside, mayhem, the reason we fight. Surviving the slaughters and killing. God, it's so hard to remember the lyrics when you're just speaking them. Surviving the slaughters and killing we've lost. Then we return from the dead. Attacking once more, now with twice as much strength. We move on, now ahead. We conquer, then move on ahead. Evo, this was, I don't know if it was the first Slayer song that I heard. I think it was. But oh, what a classic song. I don't know if they played this too much in their latter years, but what a song, Evil Has No Boundaries. That's your introduction to Slayer, is Evil Has No Boundaries. And this is a really evil album. I think they say Satan probably on about 8 or 9 of the songs, which again, when you're 14, makes a really big impression on you. Next is The Antichrist, screams the nightmares of a life I want. Can't see living this life, no. A world I haunt, you've lost all control of my heart and soul. Satan holds my future, watch it unfold. Well, I am the Antichrist, it's what I was meant to be. Your God left me behind and set my soul to be free. Watching disciples of the satanic rule, pentagram of blood holds the jackal's truth. Searching for the answer, Christ hasn't come. Awaiting the final moment, the birth of Satan's son. And then that screams from a life I live. Torment is what I give. Torture, and his voice goes way up. Torture is what I love. The downfall of the heavens above. I am the Antichrist. Love it. Next is Die by the Sword. Live by the sword and help to contain the helpless minds of you all. Die by my hand in pools of blood. Clutch yourself as you fall. Mindless tyranny, forgotten victims, children slaughtered in vain. Raping the maid for which they served. Only the words of the Lord. Die by the sword. Oh, each song is just fucking incredible. God, I love Slayer so much. Why did I wait so long to talk about them? Fight Till Death is next. Now, one thing about this album that I don't like, and Fight Till Death reminds me of that. The drums on this album suck. The drums sound. It's amazing, to say that about the great Dave Lombardo, who I think is generally considered the greatest thrash metal drummer ever, I think. And and that was another thing, they overdubbed. I only read this much, much later, I think in the internet era, that he overdubbed. All the cymbals on this album were overdubbed. When they recorded the album, he just played drums without the cymbals. Then they went back and overdubbed the cymbals. So, it seems very odd to talk about the drums. I'd say I would take the drum sound of Saint Anger over the drum sound of Show No Mercy. Not the drumming itself, but the drum sound. It's really weak, especially on Fight Till Death. The snare drum sounds awful. It's just like a ticka 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 ticka. It sounds really, really weak, really bad. But anyway, Fight Till Death is a great song. Metal and Man, Clash Once More to the End. Warriors Alive with the Power to Kill Descend. Militia of Blood. Troops of Hate March to Die. Soldier of Hell. Veterans of Death Arise. Prepare for Attack, Your Body Will Burn. Endless War, There's No Return. Prepare for Attack. Death Will Arrive, Your Orders Are Clear. Nowhere to Hide. Fight Till Death. They're all winners so far. The next one is Metal Storm / Face the Slayer. I guess Metal Storm is kind of like the introduction, and then Face the Slayer is the the crux. Is that the right word? The main part of the song. This is where you first hear the real Iron Maiden influence on this song. And God, I love this. A Misty Night. And it's got this. It's not thrashy like Evil Has No Boundaries or Final Command or Seven Ounce, but it's got a great, almost like a groove. Slayer maybe didn't really have groove, but oh my God, a misty night, a perfect night. Beneath the cold of the frozen star, you feel the fright. You know I'm near, you never should have come this far. I am alive, you can't kill me. I will survive eternity. Walk through the fire, go through the fire, walk past the dead, lost in my eternal maze. Your heart pounds through the mist-filled air. Concentration breaks for me to strike. I think that's what it is. You've cowered down, you've broken the chains. Now I can freeze your burning eye. And then he goes up again. Tom Araya, what a great singer he was. Man, this guy, especially on this album, he kind of changed. I guess maybe by Hell Awaits, he didn't really sing in that high, really, really screaming voice, almost like a King Diamond, Rob Halford voice. But he sings all over this album like that. Face the Slayer. And then the next song, and if you can believe it, it gets even better. Black Magic is the first song. Cursed Black Magic Night, we've been struck down in this hell. Spells surround me day and night, stricken by the force of evil light. The force of evil light. Cast under his spell, blind in my eyes, twisting my mind. Fight to resist the evil inside, captive of a force of Satan's might. A force of Satan's. And then he again goes in the high, a force of Satan's might. Oh, Black Magic is just so good. It's got a great, maybe one of the only, and Slayer was a little bit melodic on this album. They lost that, I guess, by Haunting the Chapel, which was the next EP, maybe a few months later. But yeah, Black Magic is just amazing. Tormentor, this is another one that you can hear the Iron Maiden influence on here. Not as much as two songs from now. Afraid to Walk the Streets, in the darkness all alone. And the coldness all, and the blackness of the night engulfs your flesh and bones. Hoping for relief from the fear you feel inside. Losing all perspective in reality of the night. Running from shadows, blinded by fear. The horror of nightfall is ever so near. I slowly surround you as terror sets in. Are you afraid of the night? And again, he goes up. Are you in the second chorus, when Slayer kind of had choruses? Are you afraid of the night? Of the night? And he sings so high. Oh my God. And then I know at the end, I love the ending of this. I know you're mine. Too late to hide. Too late to save your life. Torment. And he goes up, way up again. Oh, amazing song. Every song what an album this is. The Final Command, I mentioned this earlier. The chorus is, again the chorus, ready for battle, awaiting the final command. Now, from what I remember in the timeline, in June 84, which is when school ends, or it used to end when I went to high school in Canada in 1984, I would have been in grade 9, the first year of high school. So my friend Jeff Simpsons and I, he was a massive Slayer fan like me. We saw them together for the first time in early '85. And we used to kind of, we were 14 and we used to make these, makeup lyrics. So we changed, we had final exams at the end of the year in June. And so we changed the lyrics. We were dumb kids. What do you want? Instead of, we used to sing it as ready for battle, awaiting the final command. We were so clever. We thought it was funny that we sang it as ready for failing, awaiting the final exam. Isn't that clever? And that's probably, for sure, the fastest song on this album. One of the fastest Slayer songs ever. Scream, and great double bass in that song too. Screams of terror across the sea, begging for mercy with their final plea. Soldiers prepare to fight to the death, fighting and killing to the very last breath. Blitzkrieg tactics of the German command. Born with the power of God in his hand. He makes his move to conquer the land, turning all hope of life into sand. Machine gun fire, blood level higher. Visions of torture, terror to all. Ready for battle, awaiting the final command. I think that was my favorite at the time, just because it was so fast. I don't think I'd ever heard anything that fast. This was faster than Metallica. I thought, Metal Militia and Hit the Lights and Whiplash were fast. Then, 6 months later, whatever it was, I heard Final Command, and it was way faster than anything Metallica did, because that was all we cared about at that time. In 1984, 85, it was all about speed, and Slayer was way faster than Metallica. Now the next is Cryonics. This, and looking back on it now, I don't know how I didn't realize this, again, because I was 14. This song is total Iron Maiden worship, and kind of maybe ironically, this was always my least favorite song on this album, even though I was a big Iron Maiden fan. It's I guess the least Slayer song on this album. I still like it. I love every song on this album, but Cryonics, it's definitely got a more massive, pure Slayer, Iron Maiden worship, or maybe new wave of British heavy metal, maybe more generally, but I think Iron Maiden specifically. My least favorite, but still, my least favorite on this album is better than a lot of my favorites on other albums by other bands. And then the last song is another blazer. It's super, super fast. Rivals, I would say, The Final Command. It's the title track, Show No Mercy, Through the night we rise in pairs, Lords of the night we rise. Lords of the night we rise. From the depths of hell's domain, we're born to reign this night. Roam throughout the endless wars. Howl with his name we must. Words from the gates of hell. In Lord Satan we trust. Stalking the night, can't you feel I am near? Watching each breath that you take. I take lives and show no mercy tonight. Escape those not knowing their fate, I think. Super fast song. That's it. I'm out of breath talking about this album. It's so fast, and I feel like I had to talk fast and capture the energy, but oh my God. I have a feeling that Mike Pratt, that guy, I bet he hates Slayer. I think I'd be disappointed if he didn't hate Slayer, more rather than impressed if he did. So that's it. Oh my God, what a good one. I got to go listen to this again. And I do that sometimes. I've mentioned this before, that, sometimes when I do talk about these episodes, it makes me want to listen to the record. And sometimes I do. And I'm sure I am. This is, and look at Slayer when they used to wear makeup, especially Kerry King. And I'll have more Slayer talk when I do. I've already said that I'm going to do Hell Awaits. I don't know if it'll be next, but there's definitely going to be more Slayer. But until then, this is such a masterpiece. Maybe, I don't know if it's this or Kill 'Em All. This is my favorite debut of the Big Four albums. It's definitely not Megadeth, Killing Is My Business. It's definitely not Fistful of Metal, Anthrax. But it could be Show No Mercy or Kill 'Em All. For now, I'm going to go with Show No Mercy, the greatest of the debut albums by the Big Four.